What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 5 of Crave the Book. Today, Amber and I are actually announcing the winner of our big Crave podcast giveaway that we hosted in last week's episode 4. So make sure that you stay tuned for that. We'll also be discussing chapters 15 through 17 of Crave. So let's go ahead and get started. What is up, guys? This is an exciting episode because we're going to be revealing the winner of our Crave podcast giveaway. I'll go ahead and for our YouTube viewers, I will flash those prizes up on the screen. Last week, we talked a little bit about a giveaway that we're hosting with Entangled Teen. Amber and I are giving away a Crave-themed hoodie, a blanket, and a journal. And then Entangled Teen is giving away one of those big merch boxes that you occasionally see people tag on Instagram. And it's full of goodies and stickers and a t-shirt and all kinds of good stuff. So we are going to be revealing the winner of that. There were 57 entries, so that was really exciting. For those who don't win this round, please don't feel upset. I know that it can be very disappointing when you enter for something that you really, really want to win. But because we aren't selling these products, because copyright infringement and whatnot, we plan to hold more giveaways in the future. So just make sure that you are following our Instagram. That's likely where we will announce when we have lots of giveaways and things taking place. That is at Crave Series Aesthetic. And then we will always be sure to announce giveaways and, what we're doing on the podcast as well. So super duper exciting, guys. Let's go ahead and announce the winner. Are we ready, Amber, to announce our random winner?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're ready.
Do you want to let them know how you drew the winner? That way they know that it's totally random, totally fair.
Yeah, so I went onto a random number generator, knowing that we had 57 entries. I selected 1 as the minimum, 57 as the maximum, and it picked lucky number 38. So we literally counted to the entry that was number 38 out of all of our entries. And are you ready for the winner?
Let's do it. Drum roll. I'll add drum roll effect starting now. All right. Who was it?
The winner is Courtney_Forest.12, who I actually read in her screenshot that she created an Instagram account just for giving this giveaway, so that's really sweet, and thank you for entering. It really means a lot to us, and thank you to everybody else who entered as well. Like I've never seen a competition that I've run on Instagram ever be that successful. It was crazy.
Yeah, and all the comments, we read every single caption. Even if we didn't reply to all of them, I'm pretty sure we followed all of you. We went through and liked every single entry. We read all of your captions. I loved everybody who mentioned that their favorite scenes were the garlic mushroom. We had a lot of people mention the garlic mushroom. We had a lot of people just saying that they thought that it was really funny, the way that we kind of go over all of the different areas of the book and point out things that they thought during their read through. It means a lot to us, especially with this podcast being brand new. Guys, this is only episode 5. So for a turnout like this, we cannot thank you enough. And we are definitely going to be doing more of these in the future. In fact, I think that we should do a Halloween contest where I was going to say maybe people dress up, but then I was thinking and I'm like, what if we didn't just do dress up? What if we just did best Crave themed Halloween submission, whether it's like a cosplay or art or a graphic design thing or a photo that you take of your Crave book with maybe you style it in some way. I don't know. We'll have to think about how we want to run it, but we definitely plan to do more of these giveaways in the future. So guys, thanks so much. And another little extra for all of you, because I know you've probably seen on our Instagram, we've asked you guys several times for book recommendations, because Amber and I have actually considered maybe doing another podcast after the Crave series concludes, or when we hit a point where we're in between books and we don't have a lot to talk about. We've considered covering maybe like A Court of Thorns and Roses or other books that you guys recommend. So basically we asked you guys yesterday what some books that you recommend are. And Amber took your suggestions. And Amber, you want to let them know what you did with those?
Yes. So we had so many entries. I actually made a spreadsheet, and then I thought that it wasn't very aesthetically pleasing. And us bookworms, we love aesthetically pleasing book covers. So I made a Trello board. We've mentioned Trello a few times as our way of organizing our lives. This podcast is entirely planned out using Trello. And if you don't use it already, it is Trello.com, and it's kind of like a post-it note system on your computer. And I have made a board for all of the recommendations of all the books that you guys sent in over yesterday. We will be adding like star ratings, stickers on the front of the covers that we recommend ourselves personally, the series that we own. We will also add content warnings and like chili peppers stickers for whether it's a little bit of a spicier book and not for younger audiences. I have lots of ideas. And one of them is perhaps that we can add a bit of an affiliate link to the books so that you can kind of fund future products and projects like this. So if you wanted to ever purchase any of the books, you could go through our Trello board, and it doesn't cost you any extra, just a few pennies land in our account. And we might be able to purchase the books ourselves and cover them in a future podcast. So it should be ready by next week, we're hoping.
That would be awesome, because that would mean that if it was a book that you planned to buy anyway, but you just chose to buy it with our affiliate link, that would basically mean that we would have more funding for the podcast, which would also mean that it would be possible for us to do even more giveaways. Because as of right now, we are pulling the giveaway money like out of pocket. And as of right now, it's going to be close to $100 per giveaway if we keep our prizes about the same. So if we can get that additional funding, there's no reason that we couldn't do more fun stuff and be able to host more giveaways in the future. So really exciting, guys. That should be available next week. And I will probably put it in the link tree, which is the link that is in our Instagram bio at Crave Series Aesthetic. So keep an eye out for that.
It's really pretty.
Oh, it is pretty.
Really, really, really pretty. And all of the books will be in order as well. I don't know about you, but every time I start a new series, especially if it's a lengthy series, I always get the book order in a muddle, and I can never remember, especially if there are novellas that are in between the main storyline, and sort of spin-offs and crossover series and things like that. So I'm making sure that we add all of those in order, so that you don't get lost like we do.
That's perfect. And then we can put like trigger warnings and things in there for you guys. So
yeah. And you can search for a specific author, or you can search for a specific series if you'd prefer. And I'm going to try and see whether you can search for a specific keyword. So if you really enjoy vampire fiction, for example, you should be able to search in the top vampire, and it will pull up all of the series that involve that keyword.
Fun. All right, guys, we will keep you updated on that. We're hoping to make that available to you guys in the next week. But guys, today we're going to be discussing chapters 15 through 17 of the Crave series. That was kind of my mistake last week. I mentioned that we were going to be covering the snowball fight in this episode, and then I sat down to reread those chapters, and I realized that there's still a lot that takes place before the snowball fight. So snowball fight is going to be next episode. This week, we are going to be talking a little bit more about Grace's winter walk that she takes by herself and an encounter that she has with Jaxon and Lia in the gazebo. But first, first thing that I want to point out, and kind of where we left off last week, is Flint jumps and like kisses Grace's cheek after they return to Grace and Macy's room. And Macy thinks that that friendliness is out of character. Macy is like just really, I mean, she obviously acts a little jealous, but then she states that, oh, it doesn't matter anyway. Like, she's kind of indicating that the factions don't mix. And Grace is very confused about all of this. And I thought that was it was almost like one of those points where I was like, oh yeah, this love triangle between Jaxon and Flint and Grace.
It's weird because it's almost like the high school that we attended is in reverse. It's like, oh well, the super popular kids can't ever mingle with the like not so popular kids, and yet he is. And Macy's like, no, he would never look at me like that. And I'm like, Macy, why aren't you popular? You should be popular. Yeah, because she seems to really lead the pack of her own little group. You know, she seems to be one of the more charismatic members of her little group. And even when, I can never remember her name. What was the one that was being rude? What was her name? Simone. Let's get this on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Simone was being rude, and Macy was just like, yeah, don't mind her. Like, she's just being mean. Don't mind her. I definitely see Macy as being a bit of a little pack leader of her own group. So it's just kind of weird. And she also has this weird conversation with her, just where she's like almost giving the game away again. And yeah. She seems to be really struggling with keeping the secret. Well, at this point, I would assume that she doesn't really want to keep it a secret. Like, enough has happened that Grace is already pretty suspicious.
Yeah.
Like, Grace thinks that there's aliens at the school. She's pretty convinced that it's all aliens. So, and even Tracy said that.
I mean, it's not too far-fetched.
Yeah, it's you know, it's definitely not normal. Aliens wouldn't be my guess. And so Grace ends up feeling sick. She decides not to go to class, but she decides to take a little winter walk. She bundles up. She wants to go on a walk, kind of clear her head a little bit, explore the grounds, and see if that'll make her feel better. So first she's got to get dressed, and she has to pack on layers and layers. She has to Google what to even wear because she has no idea how to dress for the weather.
I would have totally done that.
Yeah, like I will Google anything, especially if I need to prep before something. I will Google a restaurant and what their menu is before I go, just so I know what to expect.
Fear of the unknown.
Yes, exactly. And I don't order things that I can't pronounce. So unless I'm really grateful for restaurants that'll put like numbers next to the food. I'll have a number 5.
Like IKEA.
Yeah.
Not like IKEA. IKEA has like weird Swedish names. Like I'm thinking of Argos, but I don't think you have Argos.
No, but I like that IKEA uses weird names rather than like, oh, here's the Davenport.
Billy bookcase.
That's easy to say.
We have a shop in the UK called Argos, and it's like a catalogue, and each item has a number next to it, and you go up to the desk with this like little tiny pencil, and then you write down the little number.
I would like a 4A, please.
Nah, the number's a little bit longer than that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. We used to go through the Argos catalogue as kids and ring the items that we wanted as kids. That would be our Christmas list to our parents.
Oh, God. I did that with the Toys R Us catalog. I'd sit and circle everything that I wanted. There was one thing that I noticed during my second read through that I didn't catch the first read through, or I'm sure I caught it, but my mind didn't linger on it too long. Grace describes there being a gnarled tree that's all like scratched up, and she can't. I
noticed that too.
Yeah, she's really spooked by it. Like
it never gets mentioned again, does it?
No, she's super freaked out by this tree to the point where, like, there's things startling her later in the chapter, and she's still thinking about the spooky tree.
where's the spooky tree, guys?
What is the spooky tree?
It never comes back, because I had like Whomping Willow vibes.
Yeah. I definitely thought that the tree was going to be a part, unless it was just like, you know, a place where claws were being sharpened, like someone's out there scratching it like a cat, which I assume
cat scratching tree.
Yeah, it's the scratching post. More questions for Tracy whenever she listens to our podcast, which we did find out that she listened to the first episode during her recent interview. That was absolutely flattering. I could not believe that she listened to us. And now I'm like thinking, God, what did we talk about in the first episode?
Just blithering on about nothing.
Oh God.
Do you think, because you're an author yourself now, do you think that there's going to be things that you've completely forgotten about by book like 3 or 4?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we're reading through and we're like, this gnarly tree. And like Tracy's like,
what gnarly tree? Yeah, I definitely know that there will be, because, you know, when you write, you try to leave little open ends that you could. It's almost like having little escape doors where, okay, if I write this in, it could lead to nowhere, but maybe I'll need it later. And you give yourself these little threads that you could go down if you do so choose. And if not, you know, it's not like it was detrimental to the story if you don't end up using that escape route. I mean,
it could be a red herring, like just put in there to go, oh, maybe this is the tree, the threat, and actually it was nothing to do with the threat of the tree. It was just a creepy tree.
Yeah, exactly. To throw people off a little bit. I definitely do that in my writing as well. Which, you know, and it does, because obviously we're sitting here trying to figure out the tree, and we already know how the story goes. We know that the tree wasn't that significant. However, it was scratched up, which could have just been a clue that there's, you know, something going on with this school. But Grace starts getting that weird sense again that we talked about in the last episode. When she is starting to go in the library, she gets a weird sense telling her to turn around. And now she's out kind of looking at the cottages where the other classrooms are. And she's getting that weird sense. And obviously this is going to go into spoiler territory, which I forgot to mention, guys. When we start getting into spoiler territory and we start covering things that are outside of chapters 15 through 17 of Crave, if you have not completed the full Crave series all the way until Covet, you need to listen for the wolf howl. And that will let you guys know that you need to retreat and go ahead and turn the episode off, because we will be diving into spoiler topics. I forgot to mention that initially. But, you know, all of these weird senses are something that is technically going to play in later. And I'm wondering, like, is this Grace's intuition? Is she really freaked out by the spooky tree? I don't think I've ever encountered a tree that was so spooky that I'm just like walking around thinking about it.
No, or like going, I don't want to go any closer to that tree. I need to leave in the complete opposite direction to said tree.
I mean, it would have to be a really scary tree. Like,
is it like an Alaskan tree? You know, like a Canadian tree is like drip that sap, and it looks kind of bud-like. Do you reckon it was like that in Alaska? Can you get maple trees in Alaska? This is showing my ignorance.
I was thinking of like, I don't know. I was thinking of like almost the trees in like the Wizard of Oz, how they're all, I don't know. I'm just imagining probably something more like a Halloween decoration in my head.
Like proper anthropomorphized, making it look like a creepy person.
Yeah.
Pareidolia gone mad.
Exactly.
You're seeing faces. Oh, Grandmother Willow in the middle of the bark.
Run! Amber, when you read through about the cottages, did you take note of the classes this time around?
I remember Chinook, which was the art class, but I didn't remember, because the first time I read it, I think that my brain went, oh, Chinook art, like as a full sentence, rather than the name of the cottage was Chinook. And then the class was obviously art. I don't remember the second one, but I think the second one was really like, how does Grace not know that this is a weird school?
Well, it was art class, shop class, and a dance studio. And
okay, it wasn't supernatural. It was me being a Brit and going, why is there a shop at the school?
No, shop class, like woodworking, which is kind of weird. Like, okay, supernatural school, which, you know, isn't a spoiler. Hopefully everybody who is reading the series knows that there's something weird going on. But what do they need a shop class for? And what kind of dance are they learning? I'm wondering. Maybe
it wasn't a tree. Maybe it was someone's like workshop project that was really bad. The tree is
getting revenge for the shop class.
It's one of those projects that they take home to their parents, and their parents are like, oh, that's lovely. I'll put it on the fridge.
And then, like, the second that the kid is gone, they're like, okay, throw it in the trash. I don't
know. Get rid
of
the tree. Don't want the tree.
So after all, did you have any notes before the Lia and Jaxon encounter?
No, I think that the shop question was, I think that was me just being like, why is there a shop? Why does she never go back to the shop? Does she not want to buy things? She seems to be very inadequate for the weather. But now you've explained that it's workshop, I feel very stupid.
Now you know. In America,
why is it called shop? That's such a weird word. Like, of all the things out of the word woodworking or workshop, why would you pick shop?
Yeah, we just call it shop class. Like,
that's so weird.
Like shop, like wood shop, woodworking. Do you guys have like a wood shop class?
Yes, and I'm trying to remember what we called it because it's nothing like that.
Yeah, we've got like wood.
We had technology. So technology was split up into food tech, which I think you call home ec.
Yes, home ec.
Then we had textiles, which was just sewing.
Oh, that would have been home ec for us, but I didn't learn any of that.
Yeah, it was it was split between the two. And then we have graphic design, which was my absolute like be all and end all. That was my jam. Loved that. But then there was another one, and I can't remember what it was called, but it was like making things with circuit boards, using like acrylic, plastic, and then like line bending it. We would do vacuum molding. We did a lot with woodwork, but it was all of that like combined. So it wouldn't have just been called woodworking. And I don't remember what it was called. I'm going to do some research whilst you chat.
That's crazy. Yeah, our classes were much more boring, and it was like, oh, the girls go and learn how to cook and sew, and the men do shop, and it was very like sexist structured, which thankfully it's a little different now. But when we were in school, for those who don't know, I'm 29, so it was quite a while ago. But yeah, I think things have changed a lot. So
no, we could do anything that we wanted.
It was all like, I didn't take wood shop. I took home ec. I did not take shop. But I know that they did like birdhouses and shelves, and I think Marc made like a little table. Pretty sure he made a bunch of weird things. My husband, he said that when he was in shop, they're like laying around the house, just random items made out of wood. So during Grace's walk, she encounters Lia and Jaxon in the gazebo, and they're fighting. What did you think that Lia and Jaxon were actually fighting about? Like, was it an argument about Hudson? Was it Lia letting out frustration? What the heck were they even fighting about?
See, I don't know. Even on the second read through, there wasn't anything that I could imagine that they were talking about, especially ones that wouldn't go into spoiler territory. But it was the way that Grace describes it. It wasn't just an actual confrontation. They were properly arguing, but also they were very close to each other, like intimately, which was odd.
Yeah, they were like in each other's face. And then Lia just hauls off and hits Jaxon right in the face and goes to do it again. And Jaxon grabs her hand. Like, he takes that first hit without even flinching, and then just kind of grabs her hand and tries to step back to get away from her, which, you know, I think Amber and I do a lot of like PSAs during during our podcast. When I see things in literature, whether they are intentionally written or written maybe just due to ignorance of an author, which isn't the case with us. I know that, for example, Twilight, we are not shy to call out the flaws that Stephanie Meyer included in Twilight, including, you know, sexual assault and things like that. But in this case, I think that Grace made a good call because she sees Lia hit Jaxon. And obviously, you know, Jaxon is a guy, and we all assume that the guy is stronger. But one thing that we don't talk about enough as a society is female on male abuse, where, you know, it's not like Jackson's going to haul off and hit her. It's not like, I mean, obviously in most cases, the male is going to be stronger than the female, and violence is never acceptable. But I don't think that we talk enough about how females can be just as abusive, if not more so, because they're less worried about how they're going to be seen. I know that my husband was with a girl before we were together, obviously, and it was one of his first girlfriends, and she used to just beat the crap out of him, and he just had to kind of stand and take it. And, you know, that's one of those things where I think that society just doesn't think hard enough about like how we can help, especially teenagers, teen boys who are going through that level of abuse. And one thing that Grace did was she didn't leave. Like, she stood there and waited, and she stayed a safe distance away, but she didn't leave Jaxon alone with Lia. And then Lia, obviously, she had like a quick aversion tactic, which was to invite Grace. Oh, come on over. And that is a huge red flag.
She also stopped Jaxon from leaving from leaving her.
Yeah.
So she like grabs his elbow, I think, and just pulls him back, despite the fact that she's willing to then still engage with Grace. So it wasn't like a no, don't talk to her. It was a, don't you dare leave.
Right. We're fine. Let's show Grace that we're fine. We will show her. It was like a silent communication there. Like, we need to fix this. We are fine. And obviously things were very not fine. Amber, what would you do if you were like walking and you saw, you know, two friends of the opposite sex? And
if I knew them?
Yeah, just assuming maybe, I mean, maybe you just knew them as well as Grace knows Lia and Jaxon, but you saw a female friend haul off and hit a male friend. Like, what do you even do in that situation? What would you do?
I don't even know whether, like, even if it was the other way around, I think that I would try and just make myself available to whoever is the victim and make them aware that they can absolutely use me to get themselves out of the situation. I think no one can really step in when it's a violent situation without the potential for them getting hurt as well. And also, I would never want to hurt someone's pride. Like, Jaxon was obviously not in the I need rescuing mode. And she probably knew, Grace probably knew that Jaxon would not necessarily need rescuing, having seen what he had done in the hallway to Marc and whoever the other guy was, Quinn. So like, I think that I would just make myself available and say, look, I am watching. I'm aware of what's happening, and make Lia as uncomfortable as possible to continue whatever she was doing.
Yeah.
But if it was like a true friend, I think I would be so shocked at what I saw that I don't think that I would be able to not say anything. And I think that probably would cause more tension than anything. But at least then they would know, I have seen you. I just saw that, and I'm not forgetting it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, for anybody who sees anything like this taking place, because I know that a lot of our listeners are in high school and are in college, obviously make sure that the situation is safe for yourself. You don't want to turn something that was, you know, violence against a friend into violence against you as well. But you should definitely try to not leave those two people alone if you deem the situation safe. And if the situation is not safe for you, slip away as easily as you can and try to get a hold of help if you're afraid that things are escalating. I was in a really, really abusive relationship in high school, and there was an occasion where I was at a concert with my abusive boyfriend at the time. And after we had kind of split off from everybody, and he beat the crap out of me at this show, but then we stumble back to the concert and all my friends are outside and they see me all bruised up and they see that I'm hurt and they see what had happened, or that I'm assuming that I would hope that they would assume what happened. And they didn't do anything. No one said a word to me. No, even people who I was very close with.
Really?
Yeah, they were really, it's like they were afraid to say anything. And my boyfriend ended up taking me in one of our friends' cars to one of my friends' houses who lived nearby. And this friend of mine, the house that I went to, this guy was much, much older than us. He was someone that I babysat his children for him. But I had texted him and I said, look, you know, this just happened. My boyfriend is dropping me off. I need you to not react. I know that's going to be hard for you, but I can't deal with any more. So my boyfriend walks me into his house and I just kind of fall on my friend's couch. And thankfully his girlfriend wasn't there at the time because she would not have been able to restrain herself. But my friend was just sitting on the opposite couch with his arms folded, just giving that like 7,000 degree stare.
I see you.
Yeah,
I know
like,
exactly who you are and what you've done.
Yeah, like I know what just happened. And
the thing is, what your friends did, the ones at the concert, was they enabled him. As soon as an abuser has done something very visually impactful, and that everybody in that group knows what he did or she did, and don't say anything, they then know that they're not going to say anything. So the abuse is going to escalate because they're like, well, I've got away with it so far.
Yeah.
And that's a really dangerous game to play. The moment you see anything, you never allow it to escalate.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you give them room, they will escalate. Like abusers, they never go down. They never drop off and go, actually, I've decided to calm down now. If anything, it's going to get worse. And if anybody is in that situation, when anybody is ever giving you an out, please listen to them. And I know that it's probably really, really hard to leave that situation, and only Starla can probably speak from experience from a physical standpoint, but I can definitely speak from a mental standpoint that if somebody is mentally abusing you, it's even harder because they haven't hit me yet.
Right. It's like, oh, you know, it's not that bad. And even with the physical, I told myself it's not that bad.
Yeah, but it really is. And you should never allow yourself to be in that position for longer than you decide you are worth more than that the moment that you go, no more. And if you don't have anybody that you can call to come and pick you up, please find someone that you know that you can trust to just do the job and get you out. I wish I had someone that was able to come and pick me up and just go, we're getting you out of here.
Even if it's a code word, like that you have to use.
Yeah. I really hope that everybody who's listening to this has never, ever, ever had any experiences like this. But I know that that's not true because there are numbers.
It's 2 out of 3 girls have, I believe, 2 out of 3 girls by the time they graduate high school have experienced some degree of of abuse. So,
and I think with men, it's probably the same. It's just not reported.
Exactly.
It's just not reported.
Yeah. So,
and you are not weak for leaving.
Oh,
you are probably, if anything, you are stronger than you were by staying.
And your job is not ever to fix somebody. You should never have to fix someone. And that's why I think that, you know, I'm not dogging on teenage relationships, because I got married at 18 to my husband, who I am still married to, and it's been almost 11 years, because he really helped me out of that bad situation.
He made you whole. He didn't fix you. He made you whole.
Exactly. He complemented the damage that had already been done, because he had also gone through damage himself, and we were able to really, you know, fill voids within each other, but there was no fixing necessary. And if you feel that, I think that the biggest red flag is when you find yourself making excuses for them to people that you love. Like if your parents are saying, you know, hey, I don't like this behavior from your significant other. Or if, you know, if it's a friend who says that they are uncomfortable by your partner, and you're just making up excuses. Oh, they're fine. They, you know, you don't see what I see when we're alone. That's really a bad sign. So just,
and also giving yourself an excuse for staying of I'm the only one that can calm him down.
Oh yeah. And we see that so much in
romance. No, you're not. He can calm himself down whenever he wants. He just chooses to let you think that you're needed.
Yeah. And with my experience at that concert, you know, I laid on my friend's couch for hours and hours, just kind of dozing in and out that night. And I woke up to my phone with like 50 texts from him saying, what happened? I blacked out. I don't remember anything. I love you. I don't remember what happened. And you know, obviously that's a lie. that is a lie.
Yep.
You would have to, I don't know what hardcore drugs or how much drinking you would have to be doing to absolutely not remember that degree of abuse. But we were only like 16 years old. So but
that doesn't even matter, because I mean, I have blacked out drunk before. But you better believe that I never did anything interesting.
Right. Go to sleep.
Yeah. Like, you have to be a certain level of person, a certain type of person, to not only do that if you are that drunk, because a lot of people, if they are that drunk, they still have to have, I mean, they say that alcohol shows your true emotions at that point. You're very impulsive, and it picks the emotion that you're feeling the most at that point. If it's anger and if it's violence, that shows you who the true person is anyway. So he was only really showing his true self, whether it was drugs or alcohol anyway. He was probably an angry and violent person, sober as well. He can't just blame it on the drink, because he was like that anyway.
Yeah. And despite what, you know, romance series kind of tell us, that mood swingy man that 1 minute is very, you know, calm and affectionate, and then the very next minute is on fire because they're so angry. That's not good. That is a chemical imbalance, and it means that human being is unpredictable. And I keep saying he because I'm like personifying, you know, my own experience.
Your experience, yeah.
Exactly. But it does not need to be a he. It can absolutely be any gender.
Anyone.
Exactly. So
and it doesn't have to be your significant other either. It can be your parent. It can be your child. It can be anyone. And you do not deserve violence. No matter what you've done, you cannot ever equate violence with guilt or culpability. You did nothing wrong to deserve anything like that. And you do not deserve to stick it out with them either. There is no marriage that's worth that. There is no So relationship with your parents, you don't owe your parents anything for them creating you. Please never let them use that as an excuse to guilt trip you, that like, well, I made you, so you owe me.
Yeah, because it's not like you asked. You didn't ask for that. You didn't.
No, and I'm a pretty great person. So, I mean, I turned myself into me despite them making me.
Right. So there's our Amber and Starla PSA of the week. Thank you guys for joining our TED Talk. Hopefully, though, I really do like having these discussions, because though they kind of avert from the topic of, you know, our story, I think that they're relevant and they need to be said. And hopefully that it's something that you guys can connect with, because if we're able to help even just one person, you know, that makes us really happy. And
maybe we can set up a code word as well. If you send us an emoji of something, we can send you a phone number to call.
Yeah,
because a lot of people just feel like you know, when you go to a bar and then there's the poster that says if you feel unsafe, order a, and then there's like, I don't know, a Meggie Sue or something,
right,
or something, and that means that the barmaids will call you a cab. There are certain code words that you can use in everyday life that means I feel unsafe and I would like to get out of this situation, or I would like to talk to someone. And there's not much that we can do from a distance where we are, but we can definitely point you in the right direction of some information for your circumstances.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm all scatterbrained now. I don't even know where Lia and Jaxon in the gazebo.
Yeah, so like I made a note that they only noticed Grace once the wind picked up.
Yeah, like when animals hunting and the wind shifts and like a deer can smell that a wolf is trailing it.
It's downwind.
Yeah.
And then they turn to her with completely black eyes as if she was some like snack.
like a shark smelling blood. Yeah.
And then I think that, see, this is when I thought, oh, maybe Jaxon hadn't switched from predator back to like human Jaxon, where he starts to approach. And then Lia grabs his elbow. That's what I read first, was that she was stopping him from
attacking,
eating her. But now you've mentioned it, it was like a, no, this is not finished. How dare you walk away from me? Not a protection of Grace. But it does make me think like something that I want to add to the spoilers section. So I'm going to type that out whilst you talk.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, Jaxon, we've seen that kind of feral behavior from him before, where after the encounter with Marc and Quinn, he tastes Grace's blood and his pupils dilate like that and his eyes get really black and he tells her to go. He's like, you need to get out of here. You need to go right now. And at that point, I mean, that for one, that's a really scary thing to happen, seeing someone just flip like that. But it leads you to wonder, is this actually Jaxon going feral? Or is it something else? So we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into the spoiler section here in a few minutes. But one thing that I noted is that Jaxon, when he does leave the gazebo and starts kind of following Grace, which the way that he does that, once again, it's very pushy.
And he catches up really fast.
Yeah, and then he's like walking backwards and he won't let Grace pass, which, you know, once again, big red flags there for anybody who encounters that.
Get out of her bubble.
Yeah, stay out of the bubble, guys. You don't walk in someone's bubble. Jaxon is the king of personal space. Bubble bursting. He's always in Grace's bubble. But he's really interested in what Flint and Grace were talking about at the party. What do you think that he thought that Flint told her, because he's like, he wants to know, what were you guys talking about? Like, he is really concerned. You think he's worried that Flint was telling Grace about, like, the truth of the supernatural creatures, or?
See, I thought that was a test because I had kind of guessed what Jaxon was at this point.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, okay, so if he is what I think that he is, he's supposed to have like super good hearing, super heightened senses, and he must have heard the conversation that they were having anyway. So maybe he was just testing her to see whether she would cover the conversation or whether she would just tell him the truth. But then I was like, actually, they didn't really speak about anything in particular.
No.
Not that I remember.
Because she was too caught up with Jaxon. She was too caught up.
So she didn't have anything to cover up.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But yeah, I thought, oh, wouldn't he have heard it? Do they not hear it? Do they not have super hearing?
I don't know. Has that been mentioned? Because, I mean, Twilight vampires have super hearing, but I don't.
Yeah.
I haven't noticed anything about these, supernaturals. Any of them having.
Maybe smell. He does like the smell has been mentioned a few times, but then it's never mentioned again ever, like explicitly. Like no one ever goes like, "Oh, you smell so good," or anything. Like even just like partner to partner. When you have like your man in front of you and he's got like your favorite cologne on, and you're like, "Oh, you smell good." Even that never mentioned.
Well, I mean, there's a couple times where it's like Grace's strawberry shampoo, but that's different than like a natural.
Yeah. So maybe they don't have super senses.
Well,
and wouldn't they have like noticed she was approaching?
Yeah, because they would have heard her. It was more like they smelled her before they heard her. But if they had heightened sense of hearing, they probably would have heard her. Because if you're walking through, snow is not, especially in areas like that, unless there's just recently been a dusting, like where she was picking up the snow and it was just kind of falling between her fingers. That's not really, when it's that cold, especially if the sun has been out shining for a while, typically what happens is you get that layer on top of the snow that hasn't really melted, but it's melted enough that it's refrozen solid. So you almost, when you're walking through snow that deep, you almost have to sink your foot through it. And it is very, very loud. And it sounds like she's kind of trudging through the snow. It doesn't sound like there's anybody out plowing the snow around the campus, It sounds like
this school is definitely missing a Hagrid.
They need, what they need is the supernaturals to go out and be using some funky powers to just plow the snow away. Like,
I can imagine it.
Like do some fire and melt it.
Use the dry.
The dry could do it, which once again, we've also, got more slip ups in the next few chapters. I found out the dry was mentioned way more than I remember the first time through.
Could you imagine like this is probably a very poor analogy, but somebody comes to stay with you and you've hidden your dogs because dogs aren't supposed to exist in their world. And you can't talk about the dogs or ever mention the word dogs. How many times do you reckon you would slip up?
All the time. I can't imagine people who sneak apartments with an animal in their apartment without their landlord knowing. It would be impossible. And if it wasn't me that slipped, it would be the dog that would do something to get itself found out.
Yeah. And there would be like things everywhere. So like their lead, their collar, their bowls, their toys, their chews. It would just be everywhere. And you're just like, what's that? Water?
Yeah. And it's not, in this case, it's not like it's a dog. It is a school of probably like 400 or 500 students, right?
Yeah, they're doing really well, especially like for teenagers. Teenagers are good at keeping secrets, but they're not good at
organizing in mass.
Yeah. Because considering the fact that there are 4 factions that none of them get on, they've all united against telling Grace the truth. So they're all kind of working together for the first time ever.
Well, some of them act like they don't care all that much if she finds out or not. It's more that they're probably worried that they'll get, like, in trouble.
Expelled.
Yeah.
Dead, or worse, expelled.
I wonder what happens. What happens when you get expelled from Katmere Academy? Like,
they send you out in the snow to live with the polar bears.
Yeah, where do you go? What school do you go? Do you go to one of the other schools for the other, like, types of creatures?
Could you imagine being, like, the foreign exchange student with the other supernatural creatures?
At the Mermaid School?
Yeah. Oh no, none of them were mermaids.
Oh god.
It's like, okay, now time for swimming class. You're like, oh no.
And then you're like, I don't know, you're like a vampire trying to
But
learn.
I'm majoring in flying, guys. I can't swim.
I'm glad that we both took note of the jackets. When Grace finally does get away, Lia and Jaxon aren't wearing jackets, even though it's insanely cold. Which
no one has. So, like, Quinn, Marc, Lia, and Jaxon have all been seen outside. None of them were wearing any protective gear.
No. But in the next chapters with the snowball fight, everybody else does. It's almost like it's just those factions who don't require
No, I think
jackets.
they did it on purpose, I think.
You think they bundled up?
Because, but yeah, they did it for show, because every other encounter so far has been by accident, that Grace happened to walk up to them. They didn't know that she would be watching.
She said it was like 100 students doing the snowball fight, though. You organized 100 students
But Flint probably told them, because it was Flint's snowball fight. So he probably told them, oh, by the way, Grace is coming. And then they go, ugh, we've got to get dressed then. It's like going to your nan's and she's like, well, you didn't wear your coat.
Like, I'll put my coat on just to shut up.
I'm not even cold.
You put a note in about Hudson before the coat incident, or before Grace noticed that they weren't wearing coats. What was your note about Hudson in there?
That she makes the connection so fast that Hudson was Jackson's brother. So fast. She's a devious little minx. She makes those little connections. She's been given the anagram of the school and has gone like blah, 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 9-letter word all of a sudden, and yet can't seem to decipher the rest of the secrets.
Aliens. Hudson was Jackson's brother, and everyone's an alien.
We need that meme of that guy with the really long, like, Greek surname from Ancient Aliens.
Oh yeah,
with the crazy hair.
Aliens. I'll throw it up on the YouTube screen for everybody. Aliens. If you guys want to listen to this on YouTube, throw it up on your TV or something while you're, I don't know, cleaning your room or doing whatever.
And if you don't know who it is, Ancient Aliens is a wild ride.
Oh, we have it here. We have it in the US too. It is.
Yeah, but there's lots of countries that watch this and listen to this that might not have known who he is.
Oh god.
But Ancient, I don't know if I think a lot of them are on YouTube, so that they're definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, it is comically, and I mean, every once in a while there's like a good episode, but most of the time it's like, did Bigfoot conspire? Bigfoot conspired with the aliens to build the pyramids. Here's our evidence from experts. And then the expert's like some guy who's like sitting in his basement, like with a bunch of Mountain Dew cans in the background. He's like, this one time I was sitting outside and I saw like Bigfoot and like, yeah. It's hilarious.
There's an entire documentary called Aquatic Apes as well.
Oh god.
It's amazing. It's about mermaids. If humans evolved differently and we ended up going back to the sea, and it's like a full-on, is it a mockumentary? Is that what the word is?
Yeah.
Where it's completely satire, but it's so well done that I'm like, do people actually believe this?
Oh, I'm sure. Oh God, it's hilarious. All right, guys, let's go ahead and This was like the howl that didn't feel like it was scraping against my bones, because a lot of them were so like obnoxious. This one, it had a good pitch to it. I sat for like an hour listening to howls, guys. That's how in depth we are with our podcast.
Dedicated.
So one thing that I wanted to bring up in the spoiler topics was that when Macy learns that Grace has been, kind of hanging around with Jaxon, I mean, Macy loses her mind. She says he takes what he wants and he isn't helpful to anyone and he doesn't go anywhere alone. What aside from killing Hudson did Jaxon do? Because Macy really doesn't want Grace going near Jaxon, and she like grabs her and looks her up and down to make sure that she's not harmed. Like, I assume that if Jaxon, we never really learn how Jaxon killed Hudson, which I really want to know. Like, I want the details of that moment.
The juicy deets.
Yeah, I want to know, was it gory? Was it like, what happened? How'd he do it? Because I love Hutters, but I want to know how he died. But like, did the school see it? Is Macy she saw Jaxon at his most powerful, therefore she's super scared? Or is it because of who his parents are that maybe she's like, oh yeah, that whole family, cuckoo, they are nuts. You need to stay away from them.
I think we know that Hudson absolutely just let Jaxon do that to him, because Hudson would have like creamed him.
Oh yeah,
he would have destroyed him. So the fight must, if it was a public one, the fight must have looked really one-sided.
Yeah, because he would have had to have restrained himself.
Yeah, but that would have made Jaxon out to be really terrifying. And when the fight between the alpha werewolf and Jaxon in the one of the classrooms happens, like everybody's like, oh, I wouldn't go in there. Like, they're terrified. They're absolutely terrified of him because of what he can do. And I'm wondering whether he felt so responsible for what happened to Hudson, because he did that. He did kill his brother. That he almost allowed the school to think he was a villain, like so much so that he kind of played into it, maybe a bit too much. When you're with the Order as well, everything always will look more threatening because you've got a group behind you.
And everything about them, too. Like, they're all well-dressed, they're all quiet, they're all described as being very attractive.
Threatening.
They're and even with the snowball fight, like, it could be perceived that they're too cool for it because Grace invites Jaxon and Jackson's like, yeah, I don't know. Flint wouldn't be cool with that anyway.
I don't do fun.
Yeah, we don't do fun in our cool club. We just eat strawberries and wear
such
Gucci.
An edgelord.
Exactly. He is too cool to engage in happy smiles. So I don't know. I'm just Macy's, and what's crazy is Macy acts like that until Jaxon comes into the room, which we'll cover more in our next episode. But then Macy suddenly is just like, ah.
Maybe he is sweet. Do you reckon it's a witch thing that they just hate vampires?
I thought about that. It's kind of racist, but more is it? I wouldn't. Macist. I'm like, is it? Are they races? Is vampire a race? Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, because when they mate together, they create. See, I have questions about why are Jaxon and Hudson the most powerful? Is it because two already powerful vampires made children? Is that it?
I don't think,
because they lucked out in the genetic department, if that's so.
I'm wondering if they're really, when we're saying the most powerful, if it's the most powerful excluding Cyrus and Delilah, mainly Cyrus. Delilah doesn't seem like she's all that powerful.
No,
or maybe
she hasn't really. The bloodletter is also like, she has got something going on. She got a little something.
Yeah. I wonder if we're going to get her in the war. Because
what if she's their mother?
Their mother? Like Delilah's not really their mother?
Yeah.
Like Cyrus went off and did the hanky-panky.
He was like, well, this woman's genes is better than yours, Delilah. You're just a wet rag.
I don't know, because in the dragon...
I just love, and like Delilah and Cyrus are forever.
During the the Vampire Court bonus chapters, we get a little bit of how they meet. And Cyrus, he really takes like old school ownership over Delilah. It was like one of those, like, I have a right to you, because I mean, I assume that it happened hundreds of years ago anyway, whenever they met, if Jaxon and Hudson are very old in vampire years, so.
Yes, master, I live to serve you.
Yeah.
And only you. I am here for you.
Yeah, she was kind of sold to him. Like, it was one of those things where it was like a...
Creepy, like it.
Yeah, she was not... I mean, she definitely, when she saw him, she was attracted to him, but I don't think she really knew, like, what he was going to look like or anything until she was just kind of presented to him as, like, here's your new mate. Enjoy.
Jokes. He has a bite that will kill anything.
She's just like, oh yeah, joke's on you. I'm into that.
I'm into that. Ew. I'm just saying, like, he seems to have that, and then Hudson has his power, and then Jaxon has his power, and yet Delilah seems to be the only one that's actually kind of pulling the strings actively, because, I mean, at the end of Covet, we kind of get the idea that Cyrus is pretty much powerless apart from his bite at the moment.
I mean, she does have super duper cat scratch powers.
Maybe she did that to the tree.
Ooh.
That was the Delilah tree.
The spooky tree. Yeah.
It's such a, like, pretty name for such a creepy woman.
I imagine the actress from His Dark Materials that plays, oh God, what's her name?
Mrs. Coulthard.
Yeah, with the monkey.
She creeps me out so much.
That actress would make the perfect Delilah, I feel.
The really big mouth.
Yeah.
Like, really wide mouth.
Oh, God.
Perfect for eating people. She
is the most sinister, like, character. But, God, that actress does such a phenomenal job. I think that she would be the perfect.
Poor woman.
Yeah. I think that's the unfortunate thing about playing a negative character well. Just like, the kid who played Malfoy, Felton.
Oh, Tom Felton.
Yeah, I believe I watched an interview, and maybe it's a fever dream, but I'm pretty sure I watched an interview from him where when he would, like, meet with fans and they would all go out and, like, do, things where they would be signing autographs and stuff, like, people treated him badly because he was such a good actor. They just kind of treated him bad because his character was bad. I'm like, that is a sign.
Joffrey from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Everybody hated him. He played him so well that he just gave you the creep vibes. The same with I can't remember his name. Like in Game of Thrones, or his actor's name, but the
Ramsay?
guy who yes, him. Creepy. But I remember him from Misfits. and if you're UK and you remember Misfits, like, he was such a wet lettuce in Misfits.
I love.
And then he goes
actor.
to that. It was like, he was such a wet lettuce in Misfits, and then he goes to that, and it was such a transition.
Yeah. I love his actor. I love people that are that universal. Like, it's because a lot of
they can
times
make you feel things other than like, or, oh, he's really hot. Like they actually make you like feel physical repulsion.
Yes. And then that like, it's literally like they could be the greatest person in the world, So that big respect for actors and actresses who can do that. And that's why I think that the chick from His Dark Materials would be perfect. Delilah. Let's see. You had...
I have 2 notes.
Yeah, you have
the
2.
Spoilers section.
You have 2 notes, and then I have 1 more.
Okay, so if I go 1, then you go 1, then I go the last one?
Well, my last one is right at the end, so...
Okay, I'll go. So, when Grace is looking at I'm going to say like the pergola, the awning, the like weird structure that Jaxon and Lia are on, she says that she's aware of something that's tugging at her that she can't identify and something that she has no ability to explain.
Ah.
And I was like, that's the mating bond.
Yeah.
Like,
that's like
he's pulling at her. Like, it's almost like a greeting, like, oh, hello.
Yeah.
But she's not, she doesn't understand why it is happening or what it is. And Jaxon is obviously not polite enough to actually explain, oh, by the way, this is our weird bond that we have now. Look.
Did he know? He didn't know yet, did he?
I don't know, because when Grace has it with Hudson, she actually has to physically tug on the string, and he does it back to her, and they're both very aware that they're doing it.
But they also know that they exist.
Yeah, but Jaxon never goes, oh, by the way, if you like go into like yourself, you can feel this string. Because he always just assumes that she's human.
Yeah. I don't know.
So maybe he doesn't think that she has that capability. But yeah, it was the first sign that she ever had a bond with Jaxon. Because all of the other moments where she spoke about the bond and the fact that they had a mating bond and all of this, it was never like a tangible thing that she felt. It was just
a feeling,
affection or lust. It wasn't ever I have this physical connection to my partner. So that was interesting. That was, I noticed it right away. I was like, oh, this makes so much sense now.
Yeah, because first read through, it's more just like, oh my God, Grace, you are so thirsty. Calm down. Like, I was rolling my eyes the first read through, just like she is, y'all just need to kiss or something because she's going to implode if she doesn't get some action soon. And I thought that
I messaged you like midway through Covet, like I'm really frustrated at the moment.
Yeah, like just come on, you guys, just get on with it. That's how I felt. I'm reading. I just finished A Court of Mist and Fury, chapter 55. I messaged Amber and I'm like, something happens in chapter 55 of this book, and everyone talks about it, and I must know. And then I read it, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So for those who are reading A Court of Thorns and Roses, when you get to the second one, chapter 55 is quite a chapter. But anyway, yeah, mating bond. What was your second note?
So following on from that, when Jaxon starts to approach Grace and Lia stops him, my first thought was, oh, she doesn't want him to eat her yet. Because because I don't think that she's ever had that conversation with Jaxon, that he likes her, that he has a bond with her. Like, they haven't had that conversation. So she's like, oh, maybe Jackson's going to go and kill her. He's going to attack her because she's eavesdropping. But if he goes and attacks her and kills her, then the ritual's not going to work.
Yeah.
And would ruin everything.
She's got to die at the right time.
But then it doesn't mean that she put much thought into the fact that they were a mating pair, that she clearly knew that they were going to be a mated pair. So maybe it was just my, like, trying to overly analyze the scene.
You're trying to make it make sense. Maybe you're looking...
Yeah. I really want to know what they were talking about as well.
I think that it was one of those things where Lia still felt that animosity because he killed her mate. And I think that And that's why, like, later on in the story, when she does finally make up with Jaxon and present him with that tea, he's just like, oh, you know, he's so relieved that they're finally able to get along that he just takes the tea without even thinking that it might be spiked.
Yeah.
He's just relieved.
But also, I think that it might also have been the conversation, because I think that because Jaxon killed Hudson, Lia then had to have an arranged marriage with Jaxon? Was that a fever dream? Did I imagine that?
I think that it was implied that they, like, I don't know. I feel like it was implied about, like, maybe them getting together.
Yeah,
but
they were the strong family, and they kind of was like, they were paired off, and they obviously didn't like it. But I thought that it might have been, you know, that argument that you're going to have where you're like, I don't want to tell my parents. Well, you have to tell your parents. I don't want to be with you. Well, I don't want to be with you either. Like, we're going to have to tell them. Like, that sort of argument. But I think that it was a bit too passionate for just one of those.
Yeah. Okay, so my little final note was way after all of that, when Macy and Grace are on their way to the snowball fight, and Jaxon pops up, like, right while Macy's talking smack about him, and he said, I'm not going anywhere, and neither is Grace. What? I mean...
Nice and possessive.
Right. Like, was that like the mating bonds speaking? Like, I now have established,
like, she's mine.
Yeah, the ownership there. Was that
stupid trope that gets me every time.
Oh yeah. It's one of those things that we love to hate, but we secretly love. The feminist in me hates it, but the romantic.
It's like that trope that I'm like, oh, I want someone to feel that possessive over me and that jealous if I speak to other people and all of that, but I also don't.
Yeah, I want to experience it, but then, like, I want it to go away within a few weeks because that's annoying.
Yeah. I mean, I went to a wedding over the weekend and I wore this dress and I felt amazing, and my husband did not stop complimenting me, and it felt so good. But then he started complimenting me in front of other men. They were like, doesn't my wife look stunning? And I was like, I feel really uncomfortable.
Don't
like,
look.
She's mine. Don't look.
Don't look at me. So we actually made a note earlier in the board that I figured we'd wait until we got more into the meat of the episode. And then we can go into our fan questions. But during episode 3, I believe, we had a conversation about how Tracy has been very, very good at including in, like, culturally diverse characters. Obviously, when you get to Crush, we find out that Flynn is gay, and it's not a trope. He just is. You know, he's not just the gay best friend that was written in to be flamboyant for the sake of having a gay character. It's very natural. Yeah. And we really admire that about Tracy, because it's not weird. It's not like, oh, here is this one black character just to say that we have
forced.
One. Yeah. And, you know, with Amber and I being, you know, close to 30, we think back to when we were teenagers.
Don't say that.
It's coming, Amber. It's coming.
No, I refuse to accept it.
But we think back to when we were teenagers and the books that, like, we had to read for school and things like that. And and same with, like, cartoons and things. Like, there was always, like, the black character, or
it was always over exaggerated.
Yeah, it's like it was, how many stereotypes can we throw into this character? And it was so, I don't know. It's like
uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was very uncomfortable.
It was like they'd never ever seen one before in their real life, and they were just going, like, by Chinese whispers of what they looked like.
Yeah, it was, and now we're to.
Did you do your own research? Did you ever actually go out and speak to someone in the black culture and just say, look, I want to introduce a black character into my book. Is there anything that you could recommend that I do to make sure that I'm representing you correctly.
Or not.
No one ever did. Yeah, no one ever did. They just were like, yep, I'm just going to write this person in. Doesn't matter how offensive it's going to be or how just really just like it's been written. Just, yeah.
And during that episode, I swear it was episode 3, we talked a little bit about a blog that I really enjoy. It's on Tumblr, and I believe that it's called Writing in Color or Writing with Color. And, terms to never use to describe any skin color, like
chocolate
and mocha and alabaster unless you're like describing a vampire. I think alabaster, when I think of it, I think of kind of gray, like it's not a healthy color. I don't think of alabaster.
Porcelain.
Yeah, porcelain. But Writing with Color talks about ways to describe hair, ways to describe skin, and ways to do so in a way that isn't offensive and doesn't rely on food. Like, I get so sick of seeing skin colors described as food. And I
never even realized that.
Yeah. And we had a listener, her username was Alexis Jasmine, where she had said, these two on the podcast are hilarious and they're my age, so it's much better. I really enjoyed the conversation about the writing Black characters and being comfortable talking about it. That's one thing that we hope to always continue doing. And even if we love a book series, we are not afraid to point out its flaws or what we enjoy about it. And in Tracy's case, I think she did a phenomenal job writing in characters very authentically without feeling, like she needs to add sprinkles on top of everything just to, purposefully
drive home the analogy.
Yeah.
Analogy.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I think that she didn't have to think hard about it. She just did it. And I hope to see more authors do it in the future.
She wasn't concerned of how it would be received, and therefore just wrote it as she expected her own race to be represented, I guess. Like, there's so many, just most books are about white characters, and I can't say anything different, and it's a really sad state of affairs, but it's true. Most books, most people would read them and make them very white centric, but that is because the world is white centric. Like, erroneously white-centric. But that doesn't necessarily mean that no one could read it and just adapt their own image, their own imagination, so that it would be a color of their skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think movies kind of skew our perception. Once there's a movie, it's like,
that's what they were supposed to look like.
Yeah, like you don't read Twilight and not see Robert Pattinson. But I really I'm part of several Twilight groups, and every once in a while, they'll do like a recast, and it'll be like gender bent recast or black recast.
Black Jasper.
Yeah, and I love that because it makes us really think about, what if we turn the tables, and what if we had to think outside of what we were kind of conditioned to think, and what ties us to a particular color for a character? Is it because our own perceptions? Is it because of how other artists have rendered them? One of my favorite book series is The Legend of Dritz, which was written in 1988 by R.A. Salvatore, and it's still being written. Tons of books for anybody who's, interested in reading it. It's definitely deep in the fantasy because it is in the Dungeons and Dragons universe. But The Legend of Dritz is about, you say drow, I say dro, but he is a dark-skinned elven race that their society is mainly run by females, and they are very, very evil, which apparently they're actually going to be reshaping that entire race. The Dungeons and Dragons universe has decided to go in and reshape the Drow race to make it so that they are not all just evil. because
making them relevant.
Exactly. They're planning on changing the framework a little bit because there are obviously some cultural issues there of making a dark-skinned race of elves and then making them all evil. But
it also makes it difficult to play. My husband played a drow in the most recent campaign, and he has to roll at disadvantage anytime he starts his turn in sunlight.
Yeah. And
so, it actually made it really difficult without the cultural perceptions, that you have to play it, and everyone's racist within the campaign as well, and they will treat you differently. So I'm looking forward to, I didn't know that they were changing the way that they're played.
Yeah. And in the Legend of Dritz, the whole series is that he doesn't want to conform to what his, what's normal for his people. And they all live underground. They live in the Underdark. That's why they can't be in sunlight, because they've spent their entire lives in the Underdark. So when they see the sun, it literally burns their eyes because it's so bright. But he learns to adapt to the sunlight and goes to the surface. And everyone is very racist towards him because they expect his race to be evil. And he just wants to be a good person. He just wants to live his life. And he is genuinely just a good character that everyone assumes is evil, and they treat him really badly. And I feel like for that book, the series first being written in the 80s, it is such a beautiful series that is way above its time in terms of tackling racism in a way that is different, because it's, it's fantasy characters. It's not races that actually exist, but you can tell where the author's heart and soul were when he wrote the series. And for anybody who's interested in stories like that, or if you want, something that I'm sure that it can be it's probably very triggering to read a story that tackles racism if it's something that you've encountered in your personal life, which I can almost bet that nearly anybody who doesn't live in a white-centric society probably has felt that bitter sting of racism and judgment. This particular series to me is just a really interesting take, because there's that little bit of detachment because they are fantasy characters. They're obviously, we don't have elves and things in real society.
What?
And I know, right? And Dritz is their skin is like a grayish brown, white hair.
We'll add it to the Trello board.
Oh, you should. I love them.
To give the recommendations.
Absolutely. But it's a really fun read if you guys are interested. And it's very much like sword fighting and battles, and there's lots of blood and not a lot of romance. So for anybody who wants something that, I started reading them when I was 12 years old. So and they were definitely above my age, my reading level. But as long as you can understand, that more complex fantasy that's kind of written in that 80s style, then yeah, it's something that I think you guys would enjoy. But anyway,
I'd love some recommendations of Black lead characters as well, because I think the only book that I've ever read is Noughts and Crosses, and that was obviously something completely different.
Yeah, I have never seen or read a book that is just kind of mainstream, book talk out there, everybody recommends, that has primarily non-white main characters. So for anybody who has some suggestions, please drop those into our inbox on Instagram at Crave Series Aesthetic, because we want to add those to the Trello board. Same with, that goes for any races that are kind of excluded from, mainstream media. And I would dare say, our gay community as well probably is very underrepresented in literature. So if you guys have any suggestions, please throw those our way. We want to make sure that we're including them in the Trello board, and we want to make sure that we're able to get our hands on them as well, because Amber and I definitely came from a time not too long ago. It's not like we're, in our 50s or anything, but even just when did we graduate? 11 years ago?
Yeah, it was over a decade.
Yeah. Even, 10 years is not that long, guys. I feel like everybody was kind of underrepresented. So it would be really great to be able to incorporate those books into our reading list. And obviously, just as Amber said, we do live in that white-centric society where most stories are going to be about that white protagonist. And unfortunately, most of the books that are viral and that are popular right now, that's what we're going to see. But we would, it's going to be hard to not make our Trello board, you know, primarily white protagonists, but anywhere that we can, we could even do like a section. I think that that would be fun to do like a tag. That way, if you guys are looking for some books with a little bit more racial variety, we could maybe try to find some type of little tag or a sticker or something to put on those books, or make a category exclusively for, you know, that way you guys could search them specifically. But while we're waiting for Amber to return, guys, we had some fan questions this week. We did our fan poll of the week, and we asked you a question today that hopefully we've gotten some answers. It's been a couple hours. But for our fan question of the week, you guys had asked us in Crave, did you think that the love triangle would be between Jaxon and Flint?
I think I did for a very long time. But I did get it spoiled.
Yeah.
I did get it spoiled. So I was like, oh, maybe it's like a love, like, square.
Yeah, because you knew that by the time you read, I had already finished Covet and you had just started. And I feel like I had probably talked about Hudson, right?
Yeah. And you were like, hurry up. Come on.
Yeah.
Gotta read it faster.
You must get to the Hutters. Nothing else matters until book 2. You must get to Hudson. I felt the same way though. I definitely thought that Flint was going to be part of.
He was going to be a major love interest.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Especially at the marshmallow scene.
Oh, yeah. The marshmallow scene.
He was like, girl, you would know if I was hitting on you. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. I felt the exact same way. I mean, and he was always like, from the beginning, he was very, you know, touchy-feely. And now I think back to it and I'm like, you know what?
He was over-exaggerating.
Yeah, he's either over-exaggerating or, I mean, not that this
he doesn't know what's appropriate and what's not.
I mean, my gay friends were just like my you know, female friends in school. They were very like huggy and, you know, lovey, and it's just we were very, very close. So it might just be one of those things where he's like, as long as he's not being sinister from the beginning, because I think that, yeah, I definitely think that Flint shows, I think that he tries to mislead Grace, but I think that there's a lot of his genuine character that also shines through in the first book, despite the fact that he goes bad towards the end, because he remains congruent even when him and Grace get close, you know, up through Covet. It's not like he changed from Crave. Like, his personality stayed the same. He was still fun and goofy, and, you know, he just wasn't
tactile.
Yeah, he was such a fun character from the beginning.
He was such a not Starla and Amber. Don't touch me.
Yeah, Starla and Amber are like, don't touch, no hugs, no.
I will maybe muster a fist bump at the airport when I go to see you. Nah, I joke. We'll probably like hug and cry in a puddle.
We'll do that thing that that, you know, you do like when you see your friend and you jump up and down and scream really loud.
Absolutely not.
I hate that. That is.
But like, we'll hug and cry and be like, oh, like, I'm really happy that this has happened, and then we won't hug again until we leave.
Yep. Exactly. We will sit quietly in the car ride home.
And I don't want no touching shoulders on the sofa or like no head resting on my. Ooh. No, don't do that.
Yeah, I am not a close contact human being. See, this is what sucks, guys. You find your friend, and then you realize that they live literally on a completely different continent than you. We've got an ocean in between us, but here we are doing a podcast.
We don't need to touch like this then.
Yeah, exactly. There's a nice ocean right in between us.
We'll touch through the microphone. We'll just stroke each other.
Well, on that note,
When your husband goes to edit and he just hears,
he's like, what is this? What is
like,
this sound?
This is me caressing your wife, Mark.
Through the mic. It's ASMR. All right, guys. Amber had a really interesting fan poll this week, technically last week on Wingo Wednesday. For those who don't aware, can you tell that we're getting towards the end of the podcast?
Who don't know what we're?
For people who don't know what we're, on Wednesdays on our Instagram, Crave Series Aesthetic, we celebrate Wingo Wednesday. If you haven't made it to covet, that word makes no sense to you whatsoever, but you'll get there, I promise. And on Wingo Wednesdays, we ask you guys random polls, fun questions, yada yada. This week, though, Amber asked, if you could glamour yourself like Macy does, how would you look today? Amber, if you could glamour yourself, how would you look today?
I think I would look very alternative. I think that I would go as crazy and as wild as possible. But then I feel like it would be a waste because I don't think a single other human being has seen my face today.
Yeah, I'm like in my pajamas looking like a slob. So today, probably not. You know, the poll, though, I was really surprised because I'm noticing, like, when I was a teenager, everybody would have wanted the craziest look possible, like crazy hair, crazy piercings, crazy tattoos. Like,
I want to be unique.
Exactly. And now I feel like everybody's gravitating.
I want to blend in.
Yeah, it's a more natural look. Everybody wants to be a little bit more on the natural side, which is really interesting because it was the opposite when I was a teenager. So it's unless it might, I mean, maybe it's just the target demographic for Crave and our followers in particular. But yeah, so crazy color versus natural hair is the first poll. Amber, what do you think the majority voted for?
See, now you've said that and I feel like everyone's voted natural, but I would vote crazy.
Well, this one was actually pretty close. For natural hair, it was 54%. And for crazy colors, it was 46%. So that one was a little off. Has your hair ever been a crazy color other than your fail like a couple weeks ago?
I have been bubblegum pink.
Like Macy
I have
pink?
been red. Yeah, like it was pink. And I've also had purple, and I've also had a lot of red in the past. I want to do it again, but I want to do the like natural hair color on top, but then like a rainbow underneath. Because I feel like I'm an artist and I don't really show it with my appearance. I'm rather plain Jane. My husband makes the joke that if you made, you know, like the Me characters on the Wii,
yeah,
where you try and make your likeness, he was like, you would literally don't have to change anything about yourself from the generic person that they give you at the beginning.
You need some funky colors.
I have no alternative part. Like I have no distinguishing features, apparently.
Is that because you don't go out much though, and it doesn't really matter, or because I know that I think it's one of those things where like I don't do my nails and I don't worry about dyeing my hair, especially during COVID. If I know that I'm not going anywhere, like that stuff can wait. It is not on my list of priorities.
So I have a real thing with like going to the hairdressers. I've really had like major anxiety for years about going. And it was like an aversion to being able to feel good. Like the pleasure I wasn't allowed it. Like I felt like I didn't deserve to feel nice and to feel good. So I went to a hairdresser's with one of my best friends and she took me and I cried the whole time. It was awful. But eventually she got me in a routine of going to get my hair cut. I just haven't worked up to getting my hair dyed professionally because that's a long time sat in a seat. But all the other times I've done it box dyed. Ooh. And it never comes out. It never comes out the way that you want it. And I think that's the reason why I haven't done it properly, is because the color that I would want, or like the style that I would want, it's not a box dye, quick bish bash bosh done kind of job.
Yeah.
I want piercings as well, but at the same time, it's that feeling of doing something for yourself. I need someone with me because I'm a proper little like wuss. Not for the pain, but I'm a wuss for like doing things like pampering. I can't do it on my own because I feel like it's a shared experience then. If they're enjoying themselves, I'm allowed to enjoy myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. And, you know, I feel like I was like that when my daughter was really, really little, where, you know, everything that I did had to be for her. So I didn't necessarily take as good of care of myself. But now, you know, she's older and I can spend more time on me. And I definitely neglect myself more than I should, but I have gotten a bit out of that. I mean, God, how many tattoos do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tattoos. I've got 2 facial piercings. My hair is always a crazy color. it's pretty faded right now, but it's like orange right now.
See, I have 4 tattoos, but nobody ever like knows that I have them.
Yeah, because they're not exposed.
No, they're not exposed. And I would love to have a tattoo that I could actually see myself without looking in a mirror. I just don't know what I want because I have so many ones I want. And I obviously can't just go, I want all of them. So I think that I'm probably going to wait until my husband gets his sleeve in January. He's actually got it booked now. So he's getting his sleeve done in January. And I think that might sort of start the bug, you know?
Yeah, just start that. Because once you get one, you'll want more. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, they're really addictive. And I don't think that it's an addiction as like, everybody kind of explains the addiction as like a really negative thing. And I don't think it is. I think it's an expression thing. It's like once you've got one, it's not like all the feeling is addictive and I need to have more. It's oh wow, I feel so
liberated.
I feel so confident. I still feel so confident and I feel so expressive and I feel like I've got like this feeling out onto my skin and I've got art on my skin. So I want more. And I think that I've not had one in such a long time. I still don't have that crave yet.
Yeah. Okay, so next one is curly or straight. I guess I should say hair. Are you curly or are you straight, Amber?
I think the people that have curly hair would have voted for straight hair, and the people who have straight hair would have voted for curly hair.
Apparently 60% of people want curly, 40% for straight. I have tried to curl my hair and
doesn't set, does it? Doesn't.
I look like Bozo the Clown because I've got red hair. So I look really bad.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is my dad has a natural afro, and my dad is white, by the way. But my dad has a natural afro. It's now dreadlocked. And my mom is a natural redhead, and they thought for sure that I was going to come out looking like Ronald McDonald, but I ended up being a blonde.
Let's see. No, I've tried several times to curl my hair, and the curls just don't. They just don't. But straightening is really easy. My hair loves to be straight, apparently. So, yeah. I would love to be able to just click my fingers and my hair be curly. Isn't curling your hair an absolute ball ache? Oh
yeah, and it's harmful too. Like that would fry my hair. My hair is already very fragile. Next question is natural or heavily tattooed? Where do you think that it was?
I reckon it was very, very midline, but towards the more tattoos.
It was right in the middle, like dead center.
Wow.
And then next one kind of goes with that. Natural or heavy piercings?
Exactly the same.
Yeah, it was
I think a lot of people would go for like the normal piercings, but they're also not like, I want like septum and cheekbones and like dermal piercings and everything.
Yeah, it was a little under half. Because you did sliders for these, not percentages, and they slid like just a little under half. So I'm assuming that means like earrings are cool, like maybe a nose ring is cool, maybe
And also, you're not making a feature out of it. You're making it's jewelry and it's on my face or my body, but it's also not like...
It's not me.
Distracting.
Yeah. I have a Monroe, and I have a lip ring on my bottom. It's the little one.
Showing. The little... I don't know what that means.
On my upper lip.
Is that called a Monroe?
Yeah, because it's like Marilyn Monroe's little mole.
I never knew that.
Yeah, and I was gonna do angel bites, which are one on each side, and it almost gives you like a cat whisker look. And I did it when I was
I knew that, and we call it a snake bite on the bottom. Yeah,
snake bites on the bottom.
But I didn't know that was called a Monroe.
Yep. Yeah, I was gonna do 2 of them, but then I chickened out when I was a teenager, and I've just had the piercings for a long time.
My husband, I think he had his eyebrow pierced, and I think he did it himself. Yeah, he's a crazy man, and I think it ripped out, and he's got a scar.
Oh,
I may be remembering that story wrong, but I've never seen any photos with him wearing it, so I don't think it lasted very long.
Yeah, that sounds. I think about like how much I sweat in the summer. And if it was healing, then like the sweat getting in that piercing, and that one sounds painful. Okay, so short or long hair, and you had like in the image that you used a photo of a girl
Pixie
that
crop.
had, it was like girl that was hair all the way down the back, and then like a girl with more of like a pixie cut.
Yeah, I'm gonna say most people would choose long.
Yeah, it was mostly not all the way. It wasn't dragged all the way, but it was almost dragged like all the way over. So for those who are watching on YouTube, I've got these up on the screen to show you. But yeah, it was mostly long. And then eye color, the options were blue, green, brown, or a crazy color. I'm thinking like purple or something.
Yeah, I was like, I wish that you could have done a poll for 3, because that was such a really hard thing to gauge as a story card. See, my favorite's the brown. I'd love to have brown eyes, but I'm thinking that I think that most people would have chosen blue, knowing our audience.
No, it was 99 for blue, 68 for brown, 41 for a crazy color, and 115 for green.
They're disrespecting the Hudders.
Oh, yeah. Hudders has the blue eyes. But this is for them, what they would want for themselves. So I
have green eyes, so I wouldn't choose them because I can just wake up with them.
You have very green eyes. Taylor has green eyes, my daughter, and I have brown eyes, and my husband has bright
biggest blue.
Yeah, they are like piercing blue eyes, which is crazy because we looked up like the likelihood of a parent with brown eyes and a parent with blue eyes having a child with green eyes, and it was like one of the rarest combinations that you can get.
You mean blue eyes?
Or blue eyes, yeah. And Taylor started out with super duper blue eyes, but they turned green as she got older. So next one is natural face or heavy makeup.
You know, I think most people would have gone for the natural. I don't think makeup is as popular as it used to be. Like, there's a lot of makeup channels, but it's all like how to achieve a natural look, how to go nude with your makeup kind of thing. It's never like how to look like a glamour queen.
Yeah, and it was a little less than half for natural. Most people did say natural. And I think that in order to achieve that natural look, sometimes you do have to put on a lot of makeup to do it. I know I do. I have to I put on way more makeup when I'm trying to achieve a natural look because I need my skin to look smooth, and I need to do like pore filler, and I need to make sure that I've got the perfect foundation and then the perfect concealer. And like, I end up putting on more.
I need to look the most natural by looking the least natural.
Exactly. The least like what I actually look like. But I would love to be able to just wave a wand and have my makeup done. Next one, you did like fingernails as the image to kind of give the idea, but the question was dark aesthetic or light aesthetic. And I think that I very much follow, maybe it's just because I have tattoos and piercings, even when I'm wearing like pink, people automatically are like, ooh, gothic. And then Amber, because you have lighter hair and green eyes, I think that you definitely, people would perceive you as having a more light aesthetic. But what do you think the majority said?
Dark.
Dark. It was definitely dark. 78% for the dark aesthetic, and then 22% for a lighter aesthetic.
I think that sometimes people think that of like light aesthetic is like the pink and the flouncy and the flowery, but for me, my like light aesthetic is just a lot of grey and natural colours.
Yeah.
And if you look at my wardrobe, it's very brown.
Oh, mine too. Mine's all like, I went through the yellow, like the mustard stage last year. And so my wardrobe is mostly like mustard and brown, and like you and I have almost an identical like olive green sweater that yeah. Casual or smart? So I'm assuming you mean like chill clothing or dressing with a little bit of fancy.
Yeah, I was really like trying to like work out. I was like, oh, what would you be wearing today? And I think that most people probably would have gone smack bang in the middle.
It is right in the middle. Yeah. I am a like, I will wear a nice shirt, but I am almost always in sweatpants or leggings. I am seldom in jeans unless like it is cold outside, and then I will throw on jeans. But the thing about jeans is they're not consistent. Like, you know, your sweatpants, my weight can fluctuate, and I can usually get in my sweatpants no matter what. If I'm bloated, I can still get in my sweatpants. If I'm bloated, I can still get in my leggings. Like my jeans, if I eat the wrong thing, I no longer fit in my jeans. If I put my jeans away for the year and then I pull them back out in the winter, who knows if they're going to fit again. So, and
if you wash them, they're really tight the first time you put them back on.
God, I make it a point to not wash my jeans unless I have to, because there's a whole, well, you're not supposed to wash your stanky. There's a whole thing though about how many times you're supposed to wash your denim. Considering you're wearing like real denim and not, you know, those pajama jean, like jegging materials. But with actual denim, you are not supposed to wash it more than necessary. Like if you don't see visible dirt, you are not supposed to wash your jeans.
But they're sweaty. As soon as you wear jeans in hot weather, you're gonna sweat.
I don't wear jeans in hot weather, so maybe that's. I do not wear.
Thing is, you know when it's going to be hot in your country. Our country, it can be summer in an afternoon and then winter in the morning. Just. Is so unpredictable. So you go out and you're like, okay, I've got my nice like fall outfit on. I've got my jeans. I've got my nice hoodie, and I've got my like nice like boots, and I feel super, super warm and cozy. And then like you walk down the street and then the sun comes out and you're like, oh my God, it's 30 degrees. I'm so hot.
Yeah. I'm only 30 degrees Celsius for those who don't speak in freedom units.
I have no idea what that is in your speak. I think it's like 79. It could be wrong. 73.
That's warmish. That's decent temperature. 70s is like you could wear shorts or you could wear jeans and probably be okay.
I was wrong. It was 86.
Oh, that's ridiculous. That's too hot. Next one is flats or heels.
Flats.
Yes, 56 for flats, 44% for heels. Screw heels. They are bad for you. They are uncomfortable. And even if you think that they look cute, within like a couple hours, you are going to want to take them off. It's just not worth it to me.
And they deform your feet.
They do deform your feet. There are so many, they deform the tendon in your feet. So I'm not.
They give you bunions.
Ugh, I don't do heels. I can't.
Bunion is such an unfortunate word.
Bunion. Okay, so here's a good one. Bare, so no jewelry, or heavy jewelry.
Very, very close to the bare.
Yeah, less than half for heavy. All right, here's a good one. Tanned or pale for this. I think that this one is going to be more exclusive to our our pasty whites like Amber and if you put me in a room and I was butt ass naked, I would glow like a little lightning bug. And it doesn't matter if there is no light in that room, you would see me. That is how pasty I am, because the sun is my enemy. But you know, I would say for me personally, I prefer being pale just because there's so many, you know, I've got a lot of family members who spent their entire lives tanning and going to tanning beds and tanning salons and laying out in the yard and tanning, and their skin now, like that they're in their 40s and 50s, it's so unhealthy. So
they look like raisins.
Yeah, like and the risk for skin cancer, I would rather take care of my skin. And that's not, I mean, especially when you are very, very light skinned, because it's almost like, and for anybody who's a redhead too, I know that my mom was a redhead, and I have the white, like the very pasty white ginger skin with freckles. I just didn't get the hair with it. But when I step out into the sun, I burn immediately, and then I don't tan. I just get pale again. Like the sun is, I might as well be albino. Yes, I just get peely. I'm one step from albino. In fact, I have an albino cousin, and she cannot go.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Will I meet her?
No. Oh, she's one of those cousins that I know about, but I don't see. But yes, I do have. There is an albino in my family.
That's wild.
Yeah. She's very interesting. She has a lot of things that she has to do on the day-to-day just to keep herself like safe. But yeah. What do you think the majority chose?
See, I think it's going to be on the not so tanned side. I don't think that tanned is as cool anymore.
Well, it's close. 53% for tanned and 47% for pale. So actually more people did do the tanned.
Nah, it's easier to buy like your makeup.
Yeah,
if you're white.
That's true.
Super pale. You go for like the porcelain. It's always there. It's great.
Yeah, you know, I will not go out and tan, but during the summer, I will definitely buy makeup that gives me kind of that like sun-kissed look, and then my neck
It's easier to do it. It's easier to go up in tan. You can't exactly pale yourself up.
Yeah, and then my neck doesn't match the rest of me. So last one was for like perfume. You put like a little perfume bottle. So scent related. Fresh scents or floral scents?
I reckon half and half.
Very close. 51% for fresh, 49% for floral. I do not do either of those. I am more on the
just like eau de naturel. Just go out with your stank.
I am a Bath and Body Works like hoarder. So mine are all like strawberry shortcake and pina colada and toasted coconut and
every single one of those names has fruit in.
Food. I'm a food. I smell like a food all the time.
I should have added food as an option.
I smell like a bakery all the time. So.
I wanted to add spice, but like obviously with polls on Instagram, they give you a very small range of ways to gather data, such as polls. Like you can either have the two, like this or that, or you can have like a quiz with like 4 options. But then you have to pick a correct answer, which kind of defeats the point of it. But I wanted to add spice because I'm not a fresh or a floral person. I'm very much I want some edge to my perfume.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm the same way too. I definitely go towards like the spicier, even with the kind of bakery smells.
Love me some Old Spice.
Oh, yes. That's what Marc wears. He wears, well, that's like his deodorant. He's got like that Old Spice deodorant, and then he wears whatever Johnny Depp's expensive cologne is. Oh God, it smells so good. It's like, I can't remember the name of it, but it looks like sausage every time I see it. So I always ask him, I'm like, are you going to wear your sausage cologne? So fan question, guys. The question that we asked you this week is, if you were the one, here, let me actually pull the question up. What would you have done if you saw Lia hit Jaxon in the gazebo in Crave? Because, you know, I really wanted to kind of cover that topic in depth and see what you guys would have said. So one person said, I'd go off on her. No one hits Jaxon or Hudson. One person said, confront Jaxon and demand answers. Why did Lia hit you?
Why are you being hit? How dare you let her hit you?
Yeah. One person said, hightail in the other direction. One person said, laugh. God, you guys. Holy moly. One person said, mind my own business and walk away. Yeah, I mean, you know, if
I knew what Jaxon was, I'd be like, ooh, you're in trouble now, Lia.
Yeah. This is everybody who knows that Jaxon is powerful. So but I was hoping that we'd get like answers more like from the obese standpoint, but everybody's just like, yeah.
He'll make you float like a blimp. Just, like I'm imagining like Aunt Marge from Harry Potter, where he just blows her up like an inflatable and just lets her float away. Like, bye bye.
See ya. Someone said my awkward self would have slowly but quickly walked away and pretended like I saw nothing. Yeah. Let's see.
Taking a photo.
A lot of people.
Somebody said.
Yet. See what was going on. I couldn't ignore something like that. Probably be nosy. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to.
Sound my rape alarm.
Yeah. Let's see. I'd probably say something to her, then regret it. So it's one person said throw a snowball. She's quite scary, Lia. Yeah, because especially when she switches, like she just shifts and you never know what you're gonna get. So it's a pretty.
Offer her a cup of tea. Would you like a cup of tea?
Yeah, let's all calm down together. Of course, Amber offers a cup of tea.
I'm such a Brit. Shall I put the kettle on?
Yeah. Well, it looks like...
That's how to solve any problem in Britain.
Here's some tea.
Shall I put the kettle on?
It's a pretty even mix of... And most of you I know are coming from the side of, like, you already know what Jaxon is. I know that you guys wouldn't, like, walk away from an abuse situation. That's why I was going to start reading out names. But I definitely don't want anybody to... I don't want this to come off the wrong way, so I'm not going to read, like, submission names for this one for everybody who's like, I would laugh, I would walk away. Like, but didn't see it, didn't see nothing. Yeah, I mean, if I knew that I was at a supernatural school and these were some crazy, insane beings and they could take care of themselves, it was more just like an insult, like, you know, she was insulting him by smacking him, but it didn't actually hurt him and he was capable of defending himself. Yeah, I'd probably just be like, you know what, you guys obviously have this handled. I'm gonna go back to the school.
You got this.
you got this. I'm gonna go back to my bedroom. If it was just a normal scenario though, like average high school, nothing weird, nothing out of the ordinary going here, and I saw it, I would stay in the area just to make sure that everything was okay. But guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Thank you to our giveaway winner. What was the name again, Amber?
Courtney_Forest.12.
Well, I'm assuming your name is Courtney. So congrats to Courtney. Guys, we're going to have more opportunities to win goodies from us. We will definitely do more hoodie, blanket, journal giveaways in the future. Not sure about Entangled. We can't promise that they will contribute to every giveaway, especially if we do them frequently. This just happened to be our first. But thank you so much for listening, and we will see you in next week's episode. Bye-bye!